What's up, y'all? This NBA season, every shot you take with Fanatics Sportsbook puts points on the board. Earn up to 10% fan cash on your bets, win or lose. So even if your bet misses, you're still scoring fan cash. Unlock the world of Fanatics with FanCash for exclusive rewards like authentic apparel, game tickets, and meeting legends at Fanatics events. Make the switch and turn every bet into a bucket with Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning hits different here.
Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy, Jonathan Macri, with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast, here to end the weekend, as we always do, with a Knicks Film School Weekly Recap. But for the first time I cannot remember the last time you joined me for a weekly recap, Andrew Claudio. We just did a pod together, but it was not a weekly recap pod. So this is yet another opportunity for me to ask you, when is the last time we did one of these?
This one, I would have no idea because, as you know, I used to be behind the scenes for every weekly recap pod. And now
I vaguely recall.
Now that that's no longer part of the deal, I couldn't tell you the last time I was here for a weekly recap. They've mostly been happy recaps. This is a new experience, but I'm happy to be here for the therapy session, to bring the good vibes, whatever I am here to reverse whatever has happened to the New York Knicks in the last week. I'm here to do it, John.
I don't know if you have the power to reverse whatever happened to the Knicks. You should be in a different line of work.
I'll talk to my dad. He has a direct connect to the person who actually the entity, as we're gonna give a detention to later. Like, that entity could absolutely reverse the fortunes of the Knicks.
Yeah, I guess. Do you think God's probably not a Knicks fan?
I'm assuming he's a fan of everybody equally. I believe there are several verses that cover that, I believe.
I'm sure you could cite them if I ask, but we want to keep people tuned in on the show, so we're gonna bypass the Bible verses until another episode. Yeah. How you doing?
I like the Knicks. I'm feeling the wear and tear. For those of you that are going back to work or back to school tomorrow, I personally, and I think John can also attest to this, did not personally get the break that a lot of you did. I think for John, even you have a even tenfold because of the children that were home for the last 8 days. A lot of travel. You know, my family, my brother's birthday is in December. My mom's birthday is in December. Jesus's birthday is in December. So, like, three of the most important people in the Claudio household, we had to go celebrate their birthdays this month. So I had a lot of trips to Long Island and back. But like the Knicks, I'm looking forward to, eventually getting over this slog that seems to be hitting at the moment. And hopefully it happens soon. How about you?
You just made me look up Jordan Clarkson's birthday, the other JC in our household. His birthday is not until June, which is like actually almost the furthest away you could get from the other JC's birthday.
Indeed. Literally 6 months away. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I'm good. I actually am happy to report that this has felt like a little bit of a break for me, because I have taken the appropriate time to like step back a little bit. And it would have been, dare I say, a pretty perfect couple of weeks or whatever it was, 11, 12 days. And the Knicks decided to keep playing good basketball. But sometime in the middle of the fourth quarter against the San Antonio Spurs, they decided to shift course, because why in the world would we ever want to have a season without any adversity or controversy or people yelling and screaming about things? I'm actually going to start there with you because I want to. You're great for many reasons, but two of the top of my list are I feel like you always have a pretty good read on the fan base, and the reason you do is because unlike some of us, you're still capable of like looking at all the social media stuff that's out there without letting it like get at you.
Yeah.
So you actually get a good read on this stuff, and also you have a good read on things. So let's actually start there. How do you feel about how the Knicks are playing right now and like the general state of things?
How I feel, not how I read the fan base is feeling. Okay, how reacting they are accordingly. Got it. They're not playing well right now. The problem that existed before the season, that existed most of last season, that I didn't think they really addressed in the offseason, still exists. They're not the greatest from the point of attack. When Mitch isn't on the floor, they don't have a great rim protector. Jalen Brunson is, I mean, it's really been glaring this season as teams put him into every action and just say attack. He is just being taken out behind the woodshed defensively, and it's really hurting the Knicks. All these problems existed last offseason. Like, this wasn't a thing that a coaching change was going to fix. I do appreciate Mike Brown experimenting a little more, and the offensive ceiling was always going to be something that I thought the Knicks were able to explore. But there was always going to be a time, I don't know if I said this on here or not, but there was one of the platforms that I have access to. I said my greatest fear about the Knicks this year is that the regular season is going to feel so much better as a fan because they're going to do all the things we asked them to do. And then when push came to shove, a team's going to take advantage of their biggest weakness that they just did not address. And we're seeing that biggest weakness over the last 3 games. This was the Trae Young Hawks conversation we had during Claudio Casino that I was like, they'll have a great regular season. Everybody will be happy. Mike Brown will get a key to the city, and then a team will just be able to make them bleed points. Now, apparently, I was off in the assessment of the Hawks, and I should have just said Tyrese Maxey, because that might be the team that makes them bleed points if that becomes a playoff matchup. But having said that, it's the same problem that I thought would exist before the season, John. It was never addressed, and we'll see if it actually becomes something that costs them something long term. But we're seeing the floor really be explored a little bit more over the past week, in my mind, at least.
So you actually just brought up 2 things that I want to hit on before we get to where the reaction is right now. Starting with the most obvious one, you said the problem that was not addressed, meaning the defensive floor probably is what. The defensive floor. How would they have addressed that without trading one of their 2 most highest salaried players?
That's how they would address that option, that problem. Now the way they chose was to see if a different coach could make it work a little differently and explore a different offensive ceiling. And I think they have. At their best this year offensively, they have looked better than they ever did last year. We're now seeing all the same issues that we saw last year. Like, the floor still exists defensively when you have Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. Although Karl-Anthony Towns,
I was about to say,
really hasn't been a problem defensively for them.
Can I steal from tomorrow's newsletter?
I love when you steal from tomorrow's newsletter, John.
Just
put it back when you're done.
You're very funny sometimes, you know.
You're welcome. I try.
So actually, it's not. I mean, this isn't earth-shattering stuff, but I was digging into a lot of stats because tomorrow's newsletter, spoiler, is going to be a lot on this Jalen Brunson thing, and I'm like, let me just dig into some of Cat's numbers. So, for starters, when Jalen Brunson plays without Karl-Anthony Towns, the Knicks defense improves by according to this is all cleaning the glass by I think it's 3.4 points per 100 possessions. Then when Brunson and Towns are together, So essentially, you would think that, okay, well, if you just remove Towns from the equation and let Brunson go at it with someone other than Cat, the defense is at least going to get better. It hasn't. It has gotten worse. Meanwhile, you may know this off the top of your head, because I know you look up this stuff too. Do you want to guess what the Knicks defensive rating is? Again, according to Clean the Glass, when Cat plays without Brunson? You don't have to give me the exact number. Like, just tell me where it would rank league wide.
Let's say middle of the pack.
A little bit better.
Okay, so 13th, 12th,
A little bit better.
8th,
Better.
1st,
Second. Well, first is the fucking Thunder. And the Thunder are in their own stratosphere, giving up whatever they're giving up.
So this is Cat on, Brunson off. They have what would be equivalent to the second best defense in the NBA.
Cat on, Brunson off, giving up 108.7 points per 100 possessions. That's outstanding.
Yes.
And look, there was a similar number. I forget what the exact number was last year, but it was similar last year. And at the obvious response to that is that, well, sure it is. Cat is out there with a bunch of strong defenders, at the starts of the second quarter and sometimes at the start of the fourth quarter, playing against backups. Like, that's all fine. But, like, there are minutes when Brunson's out there playing against not the full opposing starting unit too. That difference. And this is the stuff that really kind of took me back. Basically New York has like they're a little bit better when Towns is on the floor defensively than when he's off. That in and of itself, I think, might shock some people. Here's the thing that really got me. When Towns plays without Anunoby, who theoretically is the Knicks' best defender, the Knicks have about a league average defense. When he plays without Mikal Bridges, what was the number that I forget what the number is, but it's like, that was another one. The number is equivalent to a top 2 defense, or like the second ranked defense in the league. Like, all of these metrics, and other people have cited just generally Karl-Anthony Towns' advanced stats. All this defensive stuff is really good.
Yeah, this was, I think there was a pod you did with Benji, whether it be on Patreon or publicly last year, where I know in our fun group chat, the Cheddar Ass Man group chat, where we discuss things on a daily basis.
Have we ever said the name of it out loud?
I think so. I'm positive we've said that.
Not a while.
Group chat. Now you know we have a group chat with Benji and Fred. That
we have to give some context.
Well, a couple of years ago, there was a player the Knicks played against in a basketball series, in a playoff series, named Cedi Osman,
yes.
And I believe it was Mensa that said, "We're not losing a Cheddar Ass Man in the first round." It became the funniest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. And it became the name of our group chat going forward.
Hasn't changed.
That being said, I know that last year, because of what Cat's numbers were saying, his impact metrics, his on-off, that as much as to the naked eye, it's like, that's not a good defender. Like, he's always out of position, committing the wrong fouls when you need him the most, and getting abused in drop coverage a lot of last year. And then you look at the numbers, and it's like, it's not really hurting you from an impact standpoint. And I think this year, because of how, even more so to the naked eye, it is blatant how bad Brunson's been. Cat plus 4 defenders, plus pick a wing defender, plus better defenders, regardless of who else is on the floor or who they're playing against, has actually been something the Knicks can take advantage of. So credit to Cat. I mean, Benji wrote that great book maybe a month or so, that was highlighting that he's just not as bad a defender as he was advertised, or even at points last season, which is good, because Jalen Brunson has absolutely been a pretty bad defender this season.
So, and for anybody who may have missed that article, one, it's great. So if you have a chance to go check it out, you should. But the thing that I think Benji did a great job of highlighting is maybe other than like the things that, like the biggest subtle, it's an oxymoron, the biggest subtle aspect of defense is defensive rebounding, and Cat's excellent at that. But there's also little things that he's doing on top of that. I'm like you. I don't think Cat's a good defender. We watch these games. Like, I think he has been better this year. I don't think that makes him good. But the reason why I wanted to go, I just went down that rabbit hole is because, like, to go back to what you said, addressing the problem, that would mean either trading, like getting rid of Brunson or getting rid of Cat, right? And you could argue that based on these numbers, well, like, I don't know, maybe it wasn't that imperative to get rid of Cat. Now, obviously, no one, I want to be very clear. Neither of us are sitting here saying, let's get rid of Jalen Brunson, or they should have done that. But which then leads me to the second part of what you're saying, which is, or what I thought of when you said what you said. How much faith should we have in the fact that your doomsday scenario, right? They make it to the playoffs and then they get slapped by some little guard, is not going to happen because we have 3 or several years worth of evidence that this team is good enough to win playoff series with Jalen Brunson in the lineup. I have a theory, but and it's not even mine. I'm going to steal from Cheddar Assman, but I'm going to ask you first.
This is why I'm here, John. This is why the God that we were referring to earlier put me on this earth and put me more specifically on this podcast. And it's to add the context of what this 3-game losing streak has been. They're not going to play the San Antonio Spurs unless it's in the finals. They're not going to play the Hawks like that unless it's in the first round. And even then, I think a fully healthy Knicks will beat a fully healthy Hawks, especially if they get to pick on Trae Young for 6-7 games. It is matchup dependent come playoff time. So I'll be just completely honest with you, Knicks fans. I'm a little worried about a Philly playoff series. Not from a Joel Embiid standpoint. I actually thought the Knicks were most successful when Maxi was off the floor. That lineup that Brown went to at the end of the third quarter, where they finally built some traction. That was, they took Brunson off, they took Cat off, and just said, like, Tyler. So say what the lineup was.
So to end the third, it was Kolek, Clarkson, McBride, OG, and Mitch, and they were really getting after it. And then to begin the fourth, it was Kolek, Clarkson, McBride, Bridges, and Cat. And I know they didn't like cut that much more into the lead, but I thought that lineup did okay as well, for whatever it's worth.
It played with pace. It played with urgency. It actually had a rim protector. It got stops. Maxi wasn't on the floor for any of it. And that's why I am able to say there would be parts of a Sixers series that the Knicks will be successful. Tyrese Maxey is playing like a top 3 MVP candidate this season. So I am mildly concerned if that becomes a matchup that the Knicks run into. Having said that, the Boston Celtics won a title 2 years ago. All year, everybody brought up how dreadful they were on the boards, that a team that could take advantage of them on the glass would be a team that could potentially defeat them. I thought going into that postseason, the Denver Nuggets were going to beat them in the finals. The Nuggets never played them. They never played a team in the postseason that could exploit that weakness. You're going to have to hope for a little bit of luck from the basketball gods that you don't run into a team that can exploit your biggest weakness. And come playoff time, there will be teams that they run into that aren't as good offensively as the one we saw on Friday night. On Saturday night. I also, the rotations are going to look different come playoff time. The 7 that we saw for most of the playoffs last year, and this is the biggest advantage that I think you have with a Tom Thibodeau and understanding what his floor was. Like, the majority of the postseason, what we saw was you start the game off one way, and then at a certain point for the majority of the next 40 minutes was Brunson and 4 defenders, Cat and 4 defenders. And I think that's where Brown will mostly land on come playoff time when the rotations shorten. Now, Tyler Kolek adds an interesting wrinkle as a backup. Jordan Clarkson, how much he factors into playoff rotations. He spoke glowingly about Landry Shamet as a point of attack defender. We've seen the lineup get a lot of run, and Deuce, their best point of attack defender, has just been outstanding he's played. But I think what we've seen over the last 3 games is how bad it can look sometimes when you have poor defenders playing together as often as you might see. I don't think that's a problem they're going to have as much come playoff time, with the hope that you also get some matchup luck as well.
So I think there are two aspects of what you're talking about that are going to be unsettling for fans, which, I mean, what is being a fan if not being unsettled? By the way, did the Jets win today?
Yes, but who cares?
I know you're not it.
They've lost 14 of 17 weeks this year.
Okay. No, because I know.
Oh, you wanted to know their positioning. Yes,
yeah.
They ended up with. So not only did the Jets win today, the Jets.
I know that.
Not only did the Jets lose today, the Giants won and fell to the 5 pick. So the Jets have the 2nd pick in the NFL draft.
Oh, the Jets. Sorry, the Jets lost. You said they won.
The Jets lost today. No. I meant to say they lost.
Okay.
So the Jets lost today.
They won by losing.
They won by losing. They advanced up to the number 2 pick in the NFL draft, and they will probably draft this quarterback out of Oregon who won't be the 1st overall pick, and he will be as bad as Zach Wilson until he goes to another team who will probably figure out how to make him work, and the Jets will turn to a veteran, and Joe Benigno will yell about them. Anyway, continue.
Sorry, I said the word unsettled, and I immediately thought of New York football. Hey, yes. Knicks fans, you think you have it bad? Go talk to a Giant or a Jet fan.
Yes.
So two unsettling things. Number one, I don't think there is. I think I do this all the time. I always want to find a solution. You know, as a fan, you want to know that that a solution exists. Always. Doesn't matter what your team is. You could be a fan of the worst team in the league. Okay, the solution is get the number 1 pick and draft a generational player and start the turnaround of your franchise. If you're a team like the Knicks who are allegedly competing for a championship, you want to find out the solution to fixing the defense. I don't think there is a bright line solution. If Jalen Brunson is on your basketball team, put Cat aside. Mm-hmm. If Jalen Brunson is on your basketball team, and this gets what I was going to steal from our Cheddar Assman text, and I don't know if it was Benji or Fred who said it, but basically like where things are changing over the last few years, or maybe you said it, I apologize. If it was you that said I do apologize. Someone said it was not me. Where it is, even in the last 2-3 years, like year by year, it gets harder and harder to hide bad defenders because offenses are just constantly evolving. The skill level of players is constantly evolving. Everybody's shooting it better. There's so many fewer weak spots. And I was noticing this because I was going back and watching some of the Sixers game. I'm like, oh, there's OG Anunoby on Dominic Barlow. I'm like, I wonder if the Knicks toyed around with hiding Brunson on Barlow. And then immediately I'm like, well, we've seen that story this year because what happens when the Knicks put Brunson on a big guy in the corner? Guess who crashes in for offensive rebounds? So whatever way you cut it, and it's just going to have to be like, Brunson's going to have to be a little bit better. OG's going to have to be a little bit better. McCall's going to have to be like, all these guys are just going to have to be a little bit better.
You mind if I steal from baseball?
Please.
So Juan Soto is a New York Met. Apparently that's the last move that front office is ever going to make. But last year they signed Juan Soto. Juan Soto is a generational offensive player. He's also the worst defensive right fielder. Okay, maybe he's very bad. One of the worst defensive right fielders and outfielders in the sport. He still grades out as like an MVP candidate, their best player, despite the fact that any ball that's hit to right field, I'm terrified. Like, will he have the range to go get it? Will a line drive into the right field corner take the 10 minutes that it takes for him to get it? Will everybody circle the bases while he's going to get it? And the fact that he still grades out as a net positive, and more specifically a net very positive, is why you make things work when you have a guy with that type of flaw. The difference with basketball is that like a one bad defender can really crater a defense, but Jalen Brunson still grades out as a net positive, especially in crunch time, that you tolerate what you have from him as a defender. And this is why, like, you're going to hear a Pistons pregame pod tomorrow morning where we talk about Asar Thompson and how the Pistons fan base is very frustrated with how much he gets taken off the floor in crunch time, that he's their best point of attack defender. He's like the guy that helps them build leads because he's turning off the water for other teams. Mm-hmm. And the playoffs last year, the biggest contention that Pistons fans had was that this is the guy that's done the best job guarding Brunson. Last clinching play aside, like throughout the series, he made things difficult on Brunson to the point where he went foul hunting. And I responded, like, I hear that complaint. That's also the place the Knicks will hide Jalen Brunson on defense. So I actually would wonder what the Knicks would want in that situation. Would they want Asar Thompson on the floor during those moments, and that way they can have a place to hide Brunson, or would they prefer him off the floor so their best defender on Brunson is no longer there? It's a fascinating push and pull, but that's what you have with Jalen Brunson. You have a generational offensive player. You just also have to be terrified of any ball that's hit the right field.
Well, where I thought you were going to go with that is, I think the NBA of certainly 20 years ago, even 15 years ago, even like 10 years ago, you could make that analogy easier because there were a lot of offensive possessions during a game where you had a player on the floor who was maybe not going to get involved because they were just there to like spot up, or maybe they weren't even there to spot up. Maybe they were just there for defensive purposes, and you could hide a bad defender on them, and it was just 4-on-4, and you could there were enough possessions where you could just kind of hope the ball wasn't hit the right field. Now, to go back to the point I made a second ago, I just don't know how realistic that is anymore. Because of this, again, the talent level and the level of sophistication. Let's say the Knicks do hide Jalen Brunson on Asar Thompson. That dude's crashing every time. He's trying to duck in for lobs every time. Like he's trying to muck stuff up, in different ways on offense every time. And that's a scary thought, which is why, again, I just think everybody needs to be better. And the other unsettling thought is what you're talking about, which is this matchup dependent. I completely agree with you, by the way. But I think the tough part is okay, you just brought up Philly, who is a matchup the Knicks probably want to avoid for the reasons we just saw. Detroit, with Thompson and with their bevy of defenders, they're capable of slowing down the Knicks offense to something, that we're probably not used to. And then it's like, all right, well, if suddenly our offense goes from unguardable to pretty good, is an offense that's pretty good, or I don't know how you consider Detroit. So I think they're pretty good, but can go from pretty good to something else against our defense. You can have the same conversation about Orlando, who is maybe a little bit worse defensively, but a little bit more apt offensively. Boston, I mean, I don't even know how to have a conversation about Boston right now because of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But my point is, we saw what they did to the Knicks less than a month ago. So what did I just name? 4 other teams.
4 teams, yeah.
And then throw in Cleveland too. I know they just lost to Detroit today. I know we came back and beat them on Christmas, but come on, man. You don't think a fully healthy version of the Cavs could still put up points on this Knicks defense?
I think we're also talking about this after one of the worst weeks that they had defensively. I know they've been bad for a couple weeks. I was encouraged by when I've seen them play their best, though. That I know.
Oh yeah,
you've made a lot of good.
But
you've said this recently during your monologues that this switch that they're waiting to turn on, that they've felt like they can turn the switch. It also, I don't know if anybody else feels this way. Their shot making kind of determining when they decide to play with energy and play with a slog, and the shots aren't falling for several guys right now. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and spoiler alert, I was gonna give my game ball this week to Josh Hart because boy do they miss him. And for a lot of people, myself included, that may have spent the majority of the last year talking about how the Knicks should play him less. Man, were there moments over the last 2 games where you just needed an energy guy out there to go get the 80-20 ball and swing momentum just with his hustle and his effort. That became a staple for this team. That's just that version of the Knicks that has Josh, that is fully healthy, that is playing with more pace, playing with more energy. I think that team can be just as good as any of the teams you just mentioned, even with their defensive frustrations and limitations.
And that's where I land. And I think it's actually so poetic almost that this is the conversation we're having. And then you just bring up Josh Hart. And here's why. Josh Hart is not his presence. It's not like you could be like, oh, Josh Hart's back. The Knicks offense is going to go up a notch. We can't say that. It's not like you'd say Josh Hart's back. The Knicks defense is going to go up a notch. Can't really say that. Even like you look at Tyler Kolek's, bringing energy. Deuce is bringing energy. It's not like they don't have guys that are bringing energy. So it's not like, oh, they're flat completely. And Josh Hart's. It's not like it's any one thing. But when Josh Hart is injected into this team and into this roster, it raises everything up a notch. It raises the ceiling. I think it arguably raises the floor, although I know there are people who would say because of when he gets in his shooting funks that may not necessarily be true. I would say he does enough other good things consistently that it is. And here's where this leads me to. Usually when you are a favorite in a conference, and despite the 3 straight losses, I do think the Knicks should still be considered favorites in the Eastern Conference. I think you would probably agree with that. Most people I even think might agree with that.
It's a one caveat. It depends on it's Jason Tatum's Achilles. Yeah. It's really just that caveat.
You know what? Even if he came back, I even if it's like Knicks have a 31% chance to win the East, the Celtics have a 30%. I would put the Knicks ahead of the Celtics, even if Tatum came back.
That's fine. My confidence in the Knicks' chances to win the conference takes a significant hit, not because of the last 3 games, but if they have to face the version of the Celtics that's currently a half game behind them, and they get Jason Tatum at 80% playing 20 minutes a game for the last month of the season.
My confidence would take probably a slight hit, but honestly, and this is the point I'm trying to make, not very eloquently. At the end of the day, the Knicks are just going to, it's going to sound so stupid when as I hear the words coming out of my mouth, they're just going to have to go out and beat teams. They're just going to have to go out and play better, because it is a possibility that there are going to be 5 series, maybe, who knows, maybe 6 series. Who the hell knows what's going to happen with Milwaukee, or if Giannis is going to go somewhere, where you could look at it and it's not like you're going to be like, oh, okay, as long as the Knicks don't fall flat on their face, they're going to win this one. Like how a lot of people were talking about the Detroit series last year, which I was a little bit more nervous about that series than others were. And I actually think I may have been prescient in those nerves, but they got the win. But like, the Knicks played about as badly as they could play and still win that series. They played exceptional basketball enough versus Boston to win. And they did not against Indiana, and they lost. This year, I think the reality is going to be like, maybe they do wind up being first in the East, and maybe they get like, I'm trying to think, Toronto, Chicago.
Oh, man.
But even like Toronto, like if the Knicks went out there and they like defended okay, and they had, like their offense would still need to be like its peak version. My point is, there's a very strong likelihood that even in the first round, we're going to be looking at a series and be like, man, this is going to be tough. To say nothing of the conference semis, to say nothing of the conference finals. Like they need to go out there and play really well. When oftentimes I think I'm going to finally land the plane. You're the favorite. There is this incumbent, belief that like the favorite does not need to play 100%. The favorite could go out there and play 95% or 90%, or depending on how good the favorite is, like 80%, whatever. I don't think that's the case with the Knicks. I think they need to go out there and they need to be on their P's and Q's on defense, and against some of these really good defenses, like they're going to have to work for it on offense.
Yeah. No, the winning a championship is hard. Yeah. What's that line from A League of Their Own that Hank says when Gina Davis is like, it just got too hard, and he was like, it's supposed to be. If it wasn't, everybody would do it. The hard is what makes it great. That's what somebody said. I I think the fact that the Knicks have look, I really just think it's an identity shift for a lot of us. Like 2 years ago, we had a team that had a base level of defense that we were able to rely on, and effort that we were able to rely on with Hartenstein and Dante and Josh, and just every night they were maxing out. It was the most Tibbs team possible. And last year, that effort and that base level of defense wasn't always there. And some people blamed Cat, some people blamed Tibbs, some people blamed pick something, they blamed it. And then the playoffs listen, you say how you felt going into the Pistons series. I remember I picked Pistons Knicks in 7 and saying the Knicks can absolutely get punked by a team that will try harder than them, which they almost did in that series. I was very ready for that playoffs to eventually end at the hands of the Boston Celtics. Then game 1 and 2 happened. Yeah. They're going to have to go earn it, plain and simple. Now, these are also April, May, and June conversations. They can turn the vibes around significantly right now with just a better effort in Detroit against a team that's missing 2 starters. But long term, I'm not as concerned as I think some people are about their championship prospects, because I've seen what this team is at its ceiling, and right now they're playing at their floor, which looks very bad. I still believe in the ceiling, though.
Let's say finals prospects, championship prospects. We'll see what happens. But
listen, man, you make it, you got a chance.
Yes, I completely agree with you, and I will not back off that. But you know what their superpower is? More than the offense, more than anything else, it is if it's close enough down the stretch, they generally do find a way. And you think about the 3 games that preceded the Spurs game; those were 3 close games that they found a way to win all 3. You know, and again, to go back to this notion of I think the reason this week has been such a little bit of a shock to the system for a lot of people, and I guess we didn't even get to the conversation about how fans are reacting. We can still get to it if you want. Is that it was? I think we were coasting along. You know, not that everything was perfect, but there was, for me at least, I had I guess I fell asleep at the wheel a little bit. I did have a sense of security and safety. This is they're just the best team in the East, and as long as they go out there and they play their game, we're probably going to go to the finals. And now it's it's probably not going to be that easy, you know?
Can I go out there and play their game? Do you think they've played their game the last 2?
No.
So that still exists. That's still true.
100, yes, 100%. Yeah, no, you're right. And then it leads to the question of why haven't they played their game? And then you could start to feel better about yourself, because they looked freaking great against the Spurs for most of that game on offense, certainly. And they even actually had some stretches on defense that were good enough. And then they fell apart in the last 8 minutes. Not ideal. The Hawks, they didn't have Towns, Mitch, Hart. Throw that in the garbage. They came out flat. So then we're just talking about one game, and it is a bad matchup. And it was the second night of back-to-back. You know.
Look, I'm never gonna make again. You stole from the newsletter. I'm stealing from the pregame pod that you're gonna hear tomorrow. I'm never gonna make excuses for professional athletes. The Knicks spent a week in Vegas. They won the NBA Cup while the rest of the sport was sitting. Then they went 2 days later to Indiana. The next night, they were home against Philly. Then they went to Minnesota. Then they came home for one game on Christmas at noon. Then they went to a 3-game road trip. Then they came home for a back-to-back on a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Now they're going to Detroit for one game. Then they're coming home for one game against the Clippers. Then they're going out west. The schedule has been brutal to the Knicks. Now, ask any fan base. My team's schedule is also brutal. The NBA is hard. We just talked about what happens when it's hard. Phrasing. I still I hear their complaints about being drained, and That's why I wish they would have hung the banner, because at least it would have
At
been
least you'd have that.
worth something to stare at. Which, by the way, shout out to our friends at Fanatics. My hat's apparently supposed to come tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah, so I'll get to wear that if the Knicks look drained still in Detroit. But I'm just listen. It's not a excuse. They still have to go out there and perform. I do sense a hint of exhaust from them, and when you look at what their schedule has been over the last month, you can start to understand at least where that exhaustion is coming from.
Yeah, and again, the team they played, maybe instead of focusing on the fact that they employ Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, maybe we should be focusing on the fact that they employ a backcourt whose combined age is like 46 or whatever. Yeah. And they didn't play in the second night of back-to-back. See, I knew we were going to get here. You were going to make me feel better about things somehow, some way.
Look, I got asked before during the Sixers pregame, what's the one reason that the Knicks won't win the East? And I said Jason Tatum. Like, it's the one wild card. Other than that, I've seen enough from the Knicks ceiling that if they consistently play at their ceiling throughout the playoffs, they will win this conference. We have not seen their ceiling since 8 minutes left against the Spurs. So I just have to trust that they will find that ceiling again, which I very, very strongly think they will.
I think it's been longer than that. Defensively, let me, as the last thing, and then we'll get game ball. I know you hate when I do that. One day I'll stop.
Hopefully.
That day's not today.
Not today.
It's
okay. Everybody listening, now you know what's coming next. It usually is the thing that comes next anyway. That always comes next. But go ahead, John.
Do you think we have seen their defensive ceiling this year?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
I actually think we saw it last year too. We saw it when Mitch was back. There will be stretches where it's Jalen plus 4 defenders, Cat plus 4 defenders. When I say 4 defenders, I mean
I know what you mean.
Like better, like above average defenders. And that will be how they combat having weaker defensive players that are really good on offense, like Jalen Brunson, like Karl-Anthony Towns. What they were down the stretch of the NBA Cup final was a portion of their defensive ceiling when it was OG Mitch, strangely enough, Jordan Clarkson, Tyler Kolek. That was Brunson down the stretch with them too, right? In the fourth quarter
of the cup final?
Of the cup final. Yeah. So like that's what I keep going back to. When they have those stretches where they're performing defensively, they're getting stops on one end and then they're pushing the pace. Mitch's offensive rebounding is also so impactful that it's draining teams on that end of the floor, that it's not that difficult to stop teams on the other end of the floor. I think their defensive ceiling is never going to be actually that high, if that's a better, maybe a cop out of an answer. But as far as the answer to your question, like have I seen their defensive ceiling this year? I don't think their ceiling is very high. So I think I've seen it, and I think it's been adequate enough to win the conference.
I think their defensive ceiling is defined by 3 players, and you named all of them: Mitchell Robinson, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges. If those 3 guys are performing at peak level or something very close to peak level, and Mitchell Robinson is playing basketball games, preferably like around 25 minutes in a basketball game, and he's effective for those 25 minutes. And yeah, I guess we've seen that here and there. Yeah, sure.
When they play with Deuce, like there was a lineup at one point.
And
again, the Clarkson was out
and
there,
Hart.
But Josh, well, that's you want to talk about it?
He's been
he's been good. He's been good. Where I'm going to is all of them together, like those 5, like Josh, Deuce, Mitch, OG, and Bridges. It's just not a lineup that's going to score a lot of points. But I would agree that's a good defensive lineup. To where I think you were going with this, if you were to take one out and put Josh Hart in, I would still be. He's been very good defensively this year, especially when he's been off ball.
Yeah, and look, I've been very excited by what Brown is, how much he's playing the younger players, and it's been awesome seeing what these younger players have done and how they've contributed. And like, I would not put it past Mike Brown to have Diawara out there for a couple of possessions in a playoff game, or McCullough for a couple of possessions. We'll see if they make a trade, because right now there's other than the young players, this is an 8-man
Mm-hmm.
team, which is a lot like what we saw last year, and that got a lot ruffled a lot of feathers. I like this. Their top. If you throw in Clarkson, and I think Brown will trust Clarkson come playoff time. Those 8 are like, just in terms of the minutes, like they can get there with those 8.
So your 8 doesn't include Tyler Kolek.
Look, dude, I wrote it down last night. 7:25 left in the first half. That's when Tyler Kolek entered the game. I think. I don't know if I think there's like the circle of trust with the hard black line on the outside, and then there's a dotted line of circle outside of that, and I think Kolek is in the little purgatory, to go back to religious terminology.
Again, I think it's matchup dependent. I think with Maxi, it's just a tough matchup.
Kolek's he's been good defensively though.
But against Tyrese Maxey, again, I thought the starting 5 he went to was very obvious that they were game planning for what Maxey was going to do to them. They needed their best rim protector out there. They needed him. They needed Mitch to be out there for Embiid, even though advantage Embiid last night. This is also the same coach that had Kolek in the game down the stretch of the Cup final, in the game down the stretch of the Indiana game, in the game down the stretch of the Christmas Day game, and largely won the Christmas Day game because of what Kolek was in that one.
Well, he's absolutely won them games.
I think I would put him firmly in the playoff rotation. Now, you never know what you're going to get from a rookie in the playoffs, so he could have one of the quickest leashes. One of the shortest leashes. Excuse me.
One of the shortest leashes.
Yeah. So come playoff time. But at this point, I think they're done looking at out of town point guard options and for the backup point guard spot, unless like a very clear upgrade exists. And yeah, he's playing him and Brunson together. Like it's a second ball handler too, which helps with their process. So I would have Brunson in that rotation.
You mean Kolek?
What'd I say?
You said Brunson.
So you wouldn't have Brunson in that rotation, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
No, that was my mistake. I would have Kolek in that rotation.
How many minutes this season do you think the 5-man unit of Deuce McBride, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Karl Anthony Towns have played together? How many possessions?
So it's no
the
Brunson,
starters without Brunson and Deuce
and Deuce instead. That was the starting 5 after Brunson got hurt last year, which was really good defensively.
How many according to Cleaning Glass, how many possessions do you think they've played this year?
I'll say, actually, probably not many. I'll say less than 100.
You're right. It is less than 100. It's 4.
Yeah, because they haven't all been healthy at the same time.
That is, yes, but even with the health caveats, the fact that those guys have only played 4 possessions together is interesting to me, in that, in theory, right? In theory, because what have we been seeing? We've been seeing Kolek plus the other 4 starters to start when everybody's healthy to start second quarters, right?
Mm-hmm.
In theory, putting Deuce in there instead of Kolek is obviously you're losing a little bit in terms of the playmaking. In terms of the playmaking,
Mm-hmm.
I think we would all agree that Deuce McBride's a better player than Tyler Kolek right now. So I wonder if that is a unit he experiments with more moving forward.
What I will say is we have a large sample of that unit playing together last year. So maybe
pretty good.
In the season of data collection, he knows he can turn to it if he needs to. He's now trying other lineups that he can turn to, which is not the worst way to use the regular season, even if sometimes it might have diminishing returns, which is why the fan base may be a little anxious tonight.
Or tomorrow night is. Or yeah, tonight going into tomorrow.
Yeah.
Last year, 361 possessions plus 4.7. Really good offense, about 119 points per 100 possessions, 114.2 defense, above average. Yeah. Okay. Want to give out some game balls?
Let's do it.
Who's producing? I'm producing because I Jonathan Macri, and that is what I do. Here I am doing the thing. There it is. Okay, we're going to give out a game ball given to one player, coach, or entity that deserves special recognition for their accomplishments over the last week. Jeremy Cohen is not here, but even if he was, he would not be giving out the first game ball because he picked 3-1 this week. I picked 2-2. Turns out neither of us were right, but I was closer. Man, who am I giving out a game ball to? You said I'll let you have the Josh Hart game ball. I think that's fine. You know who I'm going to give out a game ball to? Actually,
who?
Hang on for a sec. I gotta. Let me just take a look here.
I think there's a very clear and obvious one.
Before I go to that, I was like toying. No, I'm going to go with the clear and obvious one. I'll go give it to Deuce with Pride.
That's the clear and obvious one. Yeah.
So Deuce, after sitting for whatever couple weeks, looks like he's been shot out of a cannon. He also hasn't missed from 3, and he's just generally been awesome and looking like a guy who should probably be playing a lot of basketball and being on the court for this team a lot. And look, no Duren tomorrow. The Pistons are still a big team. They will still beat you up. I'm gonna be interested to see who Brown starts tomorrow.
I think we get the exact same starting 5 as the Sixers game for what it's worth. Yeah.
Okay.
It's their 5 best players. In my opinion, they're 5 best available players.
I didn't love how the numbers last night with that group were atrocious. I just didn't like how it looked either.
Oh, wait, I'm not the lineup. Never mind. I see what you're saying. I forgot Deuce didn't start the Sixers game. I was, because he started the Hawks game because Mitch didn't play. So, hashtag the lineup has been very good this year. I'm glad that Mike Brown's going to it, even when Tyrese Maxey carves it up. To your point about Deuce and not missing from 3, I've been trying to do the math in my head while you're talking. I know he's hit 14 threes in the 4 games since coming back. His the 2 times that I've picked Deuce as my home run bet on betting and sweating, he's hit 4 threes when I've needed him to hit 4 threes. What he's been as a shooter has just been very important.
Do you know he's hitting for the year?
Is he at like 46%? Was the last
44.5% from 3
it's gone
for
down.
The year.
Yeah. He seems like a guy that should start at the 2, in my opinion. You know,
he's really good.
So 2 of 5 in the Pelicans game when he came back, 4 of 9 in the second game against the Spurs. That people wanted him, I think correctly, wanted him to play a little more, but who knows what minute restriction he should have been on. Mike Brown, to his credit, did adjust and has played Deuce 31 minutes each of the last 2 games. And I would guess because the Pistons trotted out a lineup of Isaiah Stewart, Paul Reed, Asar Thompson, Duncan Robinson, and Cade Cunningham. That's a lot of size, but it doesn't have Duren. So I think he'll go Deuce. I think he'll go with the lineup. I think Mitch will come back off the bench for this one. If Duren was there, I think it'd be a different story.
I think he should go with the Deuce lineup.
Yes. You know this. It's what I wanted before the season, but I also this leads perfectly. Just I'll say it again. Josh Hart remains a valuable piece of this team. Remains a valuable piece of this championship prospects. The fact that there were stretches of the game against Philly and stretches of the game against Atlanta where I felt that they weren't getting to loose balls or even offensive rebounds that they normally do. Especially when Mitch gets into foul trouble because he's being forced to guard Joel Embiid for however long he was out there. You're going to one of the best advantages that you have with Josh Hart is that in a guard's body, you're able to have the best rebounder on the floor at times. So for just a Josh Hart appreciation of what he is to this team, what he is to this roster. I'll give him my game ball, and Josh, hope you get well soon. It'll probably be after the West Coast trip, I guess, that we'd see you.
I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully more Josh Hart in our lives, and more Josh Hart appreciation in our lives, now seeing what it's like without him.
You would think that folks would appreciate him.
Just advising you to appreciate Josh Hart. And now don't overplay Josh Hart, which I think Mike Brown's done a good job of that this season. But yeah, I look forward to Josh Hart being back in my life.
Man, I'm glad that Josh Hart has had his rest. I wish all of these guys could get a week off.
You're not wrong. I think they're exhausted. And look, like you said, Deuce took 22 days off and was shot out of a cannon when he returned.
Yeah. Okay. How about this? I just sorted. So this is obviously not the same 4 games for all these players, but I just sorted the NBA stats website by last 4 games. And this just tells you everything you need to know. Last 4 games, OG Anunoby 20.8% from 3. Mikal Bridges 29.6% from 3. Karl Anthony Towns 28.6% from 3.
How'd they do in those 4 games?
Not great, Bob.
Is that their norm?
I don't think so.
No. So It's almost as if, like baseball, they're going through a slump, and I trust their mean to be what creates their ceiling.
All right. Detention. Oh, you go first.
You gotta put it on the screen and introduce it, John.
I know. Yeah. Given to one player, you have thrown me off today, Andrew Claudio. Sorry. Given to one player, coach, or entity who deserves to go into a dark room for a long time and think about what they did wrong and can do better the next time.
I want to start by saying congratulations to Jalen Brunson on winning the Eastern Conference Player of the Month for the month of December. To Jaylen Brown, who decided to get in his feelings and have some Twitter fingers, I would just say, shut up. And, as of recently, Jaylen Brown lost to Jalen Brunson in the playoffs and has to wear that L all season, no matter how well he does this season. I know that bothered you because you get to hear from Knicks fans all season, as you said in that No, so that the Netflix show, the version of Quarterback. He has a soundbite out there that the worst part about losing to the Knicks was Knicks fans. Well, I hope Knicks fans reminded you that for at least a full season, you have to wear this L, Jaylen Brown. You can't spell Jaylen Brown without this L.
So he gets your detention.
No, Jalen Brunson gets.
I was about to say, I thought that's where you were going.
would have been accurate to do that, or adequate to do that for sure. The captain has to be better defensively. I also think he's got a little ISO heavy, and especially in crunch time, searching for his own shot. He's been a little less efficient since the NBA Cup. But really, the NBA Cup, he was not very efficient either. He has to be better, plain and simple. And he has a lifetime supply of hall passes from us that will allow him the time to get better, but he has to be better, plain and simple. And so for this week, despite always having my heart and my appreciation and my thanks for turning the franchise around, he belongs in detention.
I'm going to go a little bit off the grid with this one, and maybe this is my way of making it up to the super chatters who I've been pretty good about. I haven't been in anybody's heads off, but the last couple games. But the closest I came were when people were like, Mikal Bridges stinks. He's like, show up, 5 first-round picks, yada yada yada. And I'm like, guys, he's been the most consistent player on the team all season long. He actually hasn't been that good for a little while now. Offensively, he's been okay until very recently, like up until literally this last week. His numbers for the year are still very good offensively. Defensively, he has fallen off, and all you have to do is look at his steal. And I know he had, I think, 3 stocks against the Sixers, but before that, he was really falling off a cliff on stocks. And then there is the physicality aspect of it. And you do notice that on defense for sure. And without Josh Hart especially, it would be great to see Mikal get a little bit more physical, and that hasn't happened. But where we're really seeing it is our Benji Ritholtz's favorite stat, free throw attempts. Over the first, how many was that? 17 games of the season. Do you know Mikal Bridges was averaging just about 2 free throw attempts per game?
I remember we pointed it out. He took a layup, and drew contact on a layup against Milwaukee. And it's like, he didn't do that once last season. Actually draw contact and take a layup.
In the last 18 games, do you know how many free throw attempts Mikal Bridges has?
Let's say 5.
You're actually a little low. It's 9.
Okay. Still not enough.
And you don't say.
It's my opinion. It's not
just
enough.
Your opinion.
Just throw it out there. Do what you want with it.
I gotta get you on takedown with takes like that.
My thought, 9 is too few, personally.
And he has not shot a free throw in 13 of the last 15 games that or 18 games that he has played in. That's,
it's not good enough.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
Not good enough. Just Andrew Claudio's opinion.
Yeah, just my opinion. JMO.
I would actually listen to that pod if it existed.
Yes, I'll see if Mr. Ryan and Mr. Fantasy will allow me to crash it. Indeed.
Godspeed. All right. Yeah. Predictions. Here we go. It is. Oh, I didn't press enter. I never press enter. 4-game week because I just retyped it. Detroit tomorrow on the road. Clippers on Wednesday at home. And then the first 2 games of the 4-game West Coast road trip at Phoenix on Friday and then at Portland on Sunday. I go first. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get cute with this. I'll go 2-2.
Yeah, that's the right pick. So 1-3 is the pick I think everybody thinks I should take because of how they've played.
How people are feeling right now?
Yeah.
Can I get? Sorry. Wait. Oh shit! I can't believe I forgot to do this before. I wanted to do trivia with you.
Okay.
This might impact your pick.
Okay, please.
Since the end, it's actually not really the end. Like the middle of January, 2023. So a span of almost 3 years. Like in 2 weeks, it'll be a span of 3 years. How many 4-game losing streaks have the Knicks had?
Ooh. So this is since mid-January. So they hadn't had Josh Hart.
So I'll just tell you, they had a 4-game losing streak midway through January of 2023.
Okay. So I got to think about this because that
Hart was on the team.
The last time they had a 4-game losing streak? Because he wasn't on the team
now I'm confusing myself. No. You're right.
Josh Hart didn't come to the team until the beginning of February. Yeah, it was the week of the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Since the Knicks traded for Josh Hart, they have had how many 3-game or 4-game losing streaks?
4-game losing streaks. Okay.
Since trading for Josh Hart.
There was one right before the All-Star break in 2024.
That's correct.
There was one. Was there one last season? That was 3. That was 3. That got broken up. They didn't have one last season, so they have one.
Yep, it's going into the All-Star break in the 2023-24 season.
I turned into Rain Man there for a second. Yeah, I was literally going through their schedule the last 2 seasons.
When I've been watching basketball for over 30 years, I have never seen a team collectively drag its limp bodies into an All-Star break like that team did.
Well,
what?
You remember the game that led the Jason Goebel, the Brunson Fowles, whoever in Houston game that led to the free throws. Yeah, that was, and then nobody played in the Orlando game on Valentine's
game, which was
Day,
the final. Yeah,
and that was the fourth game. Yeah,
you know how it was. They were hurting. Fans weren't even upset. Like after those games, like they were just like,
they need a break. Yeah, just give me to the break. I did the post game for that Valentine's Day one, and I remember it being like, listen, I'm not even mad they lost. They need a break. We all need a break. They've been on fumes since they made the trade for OG. Like I'm not stressing about this too much.
So that's the only 4-game losing streak they've had in the Josh Hart era. Now, interestingly enough, Josh Hart's not playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to. Sorry, I sidetracked this, but I thought that would be notable.
I'll preach confidence and say they go 3-1.
There you go.
The fact that I think they're going to get up for this game in Detroit. I think Detroit's going to get up for this game in Detroit for sure, but they're also on the second. So they're on the second day of a back-to-back because they played Cleveland in Cleveland on Sunday at 2 p.m.
Oh, I didn't realize that game was in Cleveland.
Yeah, that game was during the day in Cleveland. Yeah, somebody named Danis Jenkins had 21 points in the second quarter.
Jenkins is the two. I think he's a two-way guy, but he was dude. There was like Jenkins sanity briefly earlier in the year. You weren't watching?
No way, dude. I had never seen him, dude. You duded me twice. I don't think you've ever called me dude in the past.
That's what Danis Jenkins inspires.
That's what he does to you.
No,
he's Jenkins. Yeah,
I remember because I forget. I think Ivy was still out earlier in the year. They were missing somebody else, and Jenkins was like coming off the bench. I forget what game I was watching. He was lighting it the hell up, playing with all this confidence. And I remember the conversation was like, "My God, does Detroit have too many guys?" But no, he's good.
Well, they had just enough guys for this first game of a back-to-back. So we'll see what that type of travel does to them. They will be without guys, but I'm going to preach to the Knicks win this one. And then it's back home for the Clippers, and then they head out west. And I'm asking them to win 2 more games. I think they got their stinkers out and will return to their winning ways this week, and we can start planning the parade as soon as they win a game again, as we do as a fan base.
I hope you beat me this week. I hope you're right. Yeah, it was a 5-game stretch earlier this season. Jenkins averaged 20 points a game. Well, 44% from 3.
He had 21 in 1 quarter against the Cavs on Sunday.
Yeah. No, he's, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's on a 2-way. In any case. Okay. That's it. That's our show. Anything else before we get out of here?
2 super chats.
Oh, okay. Great. I'll put them up here as soon as I could find them. There we go.
Starred.
Danish. What?
Starred. I just didn't know if you were looking for that tab or not. You're good.
I never look for start. I just
look for tab. Look for that. It's they're literally
right
separated right there for you. Yeah.
They would bite me. Kevin Danishevsky, I heard you had a couple of cocktails last night. The lineup. Yeah, you're not in chatnix.com.
Oh dear, Kevin.
Yeah. The lineup is now plus 12. Hope it starts Brett Beatty.
1. Hope you listen to the latest episode of Just Mets, Kevin. There is an olive branch extended to those who may be delusional about their team and certain numbers that are taken out of context, but that project a very good season for the Mets third baseman, Brett Beatty. And I also hope the lineup starts. It's been very good, as a lot of us thought it would be. So, yes.
Amen to that. Shout out Brett Beatty. And then I know this guy, and I think you know this guy too. Rich McLeod. Somehow this is all David Stern's fault.
I said the Knicks didn't address their biggest weakness in the offseason, right? And the Mets still have not addressed their biggest weakness in their pitching staff. All they've done is gotten rid of people they care about. So we'll see if that works.
Thank God you have the Knicks.
Listen, you said it about the Jets and the Giants fans out there. Whether you add in that and I know I got corrected about this, that the Liberty made the playoffs and then fired their coach after winning a championship. The fact that the hockey teams are all kind of mid, although Mika Zibanejad had a hat trick on Friday night. Like the baseball teams are. I've never felt more solidarity with Yankee fans that are like, do something. People that run our baseball teams, do something.
It's the meme with the guy with the stick or something.
Very much so. Do stuff. Do stuff is what baseball fans. Right now we have the Knicks, and this 3-game losing streak was annoying. They're still the closest thing we have to a contender and a consistent injection of goodwill and joy. So I'm hoping those vibes return this week, so we don't have to think about our other teams that we root for.
No pressure, guys. No pressure whatsoever. All right.
Save the city. Just save the city. That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do. All right, everybody out there, thank you for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. Thanks to Andrew Claudio for filling in this week. Also, feel better. Jeremy Cohen is down with a little bit of a sickness, but he'll be on the mend before you know it. Got a busy week, post games, normal festivities there. Other shows, as Andrew just said. Pregame pod dropping tomorrow to preview a very big game against the Pistons. If you dig the show, please do all the things you do to support the podcast that you love, such as following us on social media at Knicks Film School. That's SKOOL. You could turn on your YouTube alerts so you know when we go live, like we are right now. You could also subscribe to bonus content at Patreon. DJ had a video recently. I know Benji's going to be getting a grade book up very soon. And I am going to be recording another bonus mailbag pod probably at some point this week. And then the most important thing you could do, help us out by giving us a 5-star rating or writing a review wherever you get your podcasts. Andrew, fun times as always.
As always, John. Are you having people over to watch for playback tomorrow night?
Having people over what?
You
my
tweeted
house?
at the New York basketball account that if people want to bring beer to your house, they could watch the game at your house.
That was a joke.
So, Knicks fans, John will put his address in the description of this episode. Bring Modelo's because he likes the movie one battle after another. Get those. Just a few small beers.
I only have literally like 2 small beers left in my fridge.
All right, so watch along at the Macris. Now the RIP to playback, but now the playback's gone. Now we just pick a house and watch the game there. So
I mean, my couch seats like 3, and then I have this chair.
Okay,
so that's 4.
I'll sit in the chair, and you sit with the fan base that comes to watch the game with you on the couch. I figure that.
No, I think we should sit on the couch, and the fan base should sit on the chair.
Sit in the chair. Yeah, they all sit back there in the room. That's fine. That works. But playback tomorrow is a thing that's happening, right?
Not play. Well, watch along. So
okay, you're right. My bad. So, a watch along. Yes,
yeah. Knicks Film School YouTube. I will be watching the game. Certainly, we'll see if anybody of my compatriots watch with me. We were able to pull it off. Me and Sean, and then Jeff popped in. He was having a little trouble syncing the game, but we eventually got it all that we were all together watching the game at the same time on our respective televisions.
Yeah, the how is the most difficult part of the playback the watch along than it is anything else.
It's not that hard. It's just one person counts down, and the other. If one person's ahead, they hit pause, and then somebody will count down as the clock on their game is going down, and then as soon as it hits the point where the person has paused it, they press play.
I'm already confused.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks, everybody, for checking out another episode. We will talk to you soon. Peace out.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.